I just want to briefly introduce an esteemed member of the Senate, one of our good friends, Senator Ben Sasse from Nebraska.
Thank you, and thanks for what all of you are doing. We're inside at the Republican Senate Leadership Lunch. We split up by party usually during lunch, and I need to get some fresh air because there's too much partisanship for me a lot of the time. But mainly I wanted to come out and tell you thank you for what you do to celebrate life and to celebrate a culture of life and to tell the story this way. I know you're on your way to 324,000 pair of socks, and it's just a devastatingly large number, and we need to have images like this so that people start to reflect on the magnitude of the suffering that's happening out there. Our movement is not primarily about legislation. Our movement is not primarily about compulsion. This movement is not primarily about power. It's about celebrating human dignity and talking about the gift of life. As Allison mentioned, the Perez issue over this weekend, he said that the Democratic Party has to be a party that doesn't have any room for people who believe that a baby in a mom's tummy is a baby. That is bizarre. I'm a conservative Republican, but I care about a whole bunch of things far more than I care about the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. And one of the fundamental ones should be that America exists to fight for the most vulnerable. That shouldn't be a Republican or a Democratic proposition. That should be an American proposition, and that should be a human proposition. And so I looked at the guy's Twitter feed when he was making those comments this weekend, and I noticed that the top of his Twitter feed says that he fights for the little guy. And I started thinking about who are the most vulnerable among us. And so I tweeted a picture back at him of a baby 12 weeks along in the gestation cycle. And this is a glorious little baby created in God's image with a whole bunch of fingers up in this picture in utero. And I just tweeted the picture and said, this is a pretty special little guy. And if we're going to fight for the little guy, let's start by having a conversation about who the most vulnerable are among us. And the response on social media was a whole bunch of people accusing me of propaganda. That seems strange, since the picture I tweeted out is just science. It's a picture of an actual baby. It's a picture of what's actually happening inside a mom's womb. And that kind of picture needs to be the thing that we're about, because we need to have a fight about legislation. I'm the lead sponsor in the Senate of the Born Alive Act. There are a whole bunch. Lindsey Graham is the lead sponsor of the Pain Capable legislation. There are a whole bunch of legislative conversations we should have. But the first thing we're trying to do is trying to persuade our brothers and sisters to look at the gift of life and look at the glories of what's actually happening in a womb and tell the truth about the fact that that baby has dignity. And the pictures of what's happening inside the womb are a huge reason why, as Allison said, that this is a generation moving more and more toward believing in life than the generations ahead of them. And this picture that you're trying to create today is another special way to tell the story of what we're about. Because what we're about is about love. What we're about is about neighborliness. What we're about is about dignity. So I just want to say thanks for